start the recording. So let me remind everyone that we are recording this meeting and we're going to share it on YouTube a bit later. So if later on you have something you think might be too private to share in public, so you could stay behind and have a more personal, casual chatting with Ajahn after this official meeting time. So let us thank Ajahn Yiu ahead for the precious time, and Michi Fafa, Freddie, and everyone else who make this happen. And so that's it that I have to say. So please, Ajahn.
Hear me well with this voice? Okay. Okay. Let's start to do the meditation. Come back to this body at the present moment. Just make it natural. Meditation is just an natural extension of our daily life or part of our daily life. And remind yourself the right view at the very beginning. You are not the master of this body and mind. And meditation is the time to surrender our ownership, so-called ownership, to back to the nature. Just let the body breathe. Or if you are a little bit tired, then you can try to do 2 or 3 minutes longer breathing. Breathe longer in, longer out. So to take more oxygen to this brain. You can try to keep a rhythm for the long breathing. You count 1 to 5 during the in-breath and the same in the out-breath. If you keep the rhythm, then it will be easier for you to keep on the long breath. Keep it for 2 or 3 minutes before we start to do meditation. So now it's not the voice, okay? Okay, I'll try. Just do the long breathing as doing an exercise. Just regard it as kind of exercise or yoga. And when we are doing exercise, our awareness will normally come back to the body. This is kind of natural meditation. When people are doing physical exercises, they will be aware of the body more. Usually we are not doing a deep enough breathing in our daily life. and our brain is not that enough of oxygen. It's not refreshed. And so that most of the time in the day, we are in a kind of mild tiredness. The brain is not in full function. And when we keep the body still or when doing the meditation, and the tiredness will be released. In order to prevent this happen from the very beginning, we can give a greater amount of oxygen to the brain first. So just imagine every breath is going into the brain. It's bringing the oxygen, it's cool and so in to the brain. And with every breath into the brain is relaxed. So we relax the brain and do the long breathe at the same time. Enjoy the breathing and relax the brain. And now you can come back to the normal breathing. And pay attention to the brain area in the background of breathing. Try to investigate this area where there is some tension in the brain area. Try to find it out. Try to identify it. Sometimes we have some tension in the area around the eyes or in different areas of the brain. Relax it and just let it come out. And just imagine your eyes is turning backward. The eyes are looking into the brain. So the breathing is just a background. Just leave it there. You don't need to pay too much attention on the breathing. But you just know that there is the breathing. And under such background, relax the brain. Let the brain take a rest. Sometimes when we relax the brain, and there will be some feeling of dizziness. This is normal as a result of relaxation. These are just the sensations in the nerves. So just be aware that these are just the feelings in the brain. It's not you. It's part of the body. If you are a person who likes to think a lot, such practice of relaxing the brain is very suitable for you. And generally, almost everyone in the city people, almost everyone are thinking too much. And some of our works require us to think. And even we are not required to think, we'll want to think a lot. Every day when we turn on a mobile phone, everything, all the information are asking us to think. If we are not mindful in our daily life, then we just keep on thinking on this and on that without a obvious purpose. But this is kind of a drainage of energy from the brain. And sometimes it is more exhausting than our formal work. So if we have more time to rest the brain, to slow the brain, to cool down the brain, you'll be more balancing. If you are mindful, then you'll find that actually every thought happens in the brain will cause a subtle tension in certain area. And sometimes even though there is no obvious thought, there's kind of background vibration in the nervous system. This is because of uh, the nerves are not yet cooled down. It's not yet settled. So we need to intentionally pay attention to relax the brain. And when the brain is relaxed, then you feel the kind of easeful feeling in the body and also in the brain. You'll be cooler and more stable. And actually, if you pay attention to the area in front of you, in front of your eyes, even when you are closing the eyes, there are some subtle vibrations here. It's visualized vibration. And this such kind of vibration is the situation of your nervous system. And when your mind is peaceful, then you find that this image will be more stable and smooth. And when the mind is not yet stable, then there is a small vibration all the time. And just let the brain take a sleep in the background of breathing. Now, if you find it difficult to relax the brain, that means you are more in need in doing this exercise. Now, relax the brain as kind of kind advice to the brain to relax, not commanding the brain to relax. The brain is just like your good friend, and it is not so well. It is it is sick. So you have a good advice, a kind advice to him. Please take a rest. Please take care of yourself. Don't put yourself in the position of a master. You are not the master of the brain. The breath is the messenger bringing your good wish to the brain. May you be relaxed. May you be happy. The problem of agitation and sleepiness are all about the nervous system, all about the brain. So we need to have some technique in adjusting the brain to rebalance the brain. When it is tired, then just let it take a rest. When it is agitated, just let it relax and slow down. rest the brain, just like you're taking care a sick friend. Remember, the brain is not you. The feelings in the brain is not you, nor belong to you. If your mindfulness is stable enough, then just leave the brain to take a sleep. You can even just let the body be in whatever posture it likes. But even when the body is sleeping, the brain is sleeping, the mind should be awake. The mind is not the brain. The mind can be the knower to the brain. So now you are just a humble knower to this body, to the breathing, to the brain. Imagine that you're just a tiny, humble knower. If you think that you are big, then you are unconsciously put yourself onto the position of a master. And normally we will think that we are a house owner of this body. But now we're training to look from another perspective. We are a small, tiny, humble knower. Just make this self as small as possible, as tiny as possible. So this body, including this mind, including this brain, it's just a big group of elements. It is the nature, it's not you. And this tiny knower is just part of this nature. You find that if you if this cell is smaller, then it will be easier to be awake. It will be easier to be mindful. Because we don't need to show the burden of the big body. We don't need to show all the thoughts and emotions. We're just a humble knower. Now, this body is just like a universe. The breathing is the background of the universe. When the ego and the self is small, that will be easier for you to separate the knower away from all the phenomena, away from this physical body and all the sensations in the body, including the agitation, the thoughts, emotions. These are all the sensations in the body. If this knower is not deluded into all these phenomena, not thinking that these are me, these belong to me, then the knowing is natural and it will be easy. So just keep the brain taking rest in the background of breathing. And now we pay attention to the area at the center of the chest. Here is the center of emotion. So feel this area. What is the emotion of you now? Is there some tension, some stress, some feeling of heaviness, tightness? These are all the emotional stress. So let it be open, let it be relaxed with the breathing. So let the breathing be your messenger and bring in your goodwill, your loving kindness to this area. Open your heart, surrender to the nature, and release all the stress. balanced heart should be open and neutral. If you cannot open, or if you cannot be neutral, that means it is not yet balanced. Relax it as what you did to the brain. Feel it and relax it. And at the same time, keep the brain taking rest. It is a merit that we have the time and chance to practice meditation, to face directly to ourselves, to understand ourselves. Ordinary people are just always looking outward with their eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and the brain, always thinking something external from the mind. And meditation is turn backward, turn to yourself, to this mind itself, to wake up the knower inside, and to relearn all the phenomena in this body and the mind. Mind is the source of suffering and source of happiness. If we don't understand the mind, we'll never understand what is the true happiness. When the mind is not happy, and even our senses are happy, are excited, we're still not satisfied. We still think there's something wrong, still not enough. Something inside is not fulfilled because the mind is not balanced. The mind is not happy. The happiness of the mind is actually the peacefulness. Peacefulness is the highest happiness. Even when we are enjoying something with the senses, but we are not aware that the mind is burning by the craving. When the senses are feeling happy, but the mind at the same time is suffering, but we are not aware of this because we don't know our mind. We never wake up the knower in the mind. So these people are pitiful. They still suffer a lot but they don't understand what's wrong with themselves, what's the cause of their suffering. Our meditation is not just to make the mind peaceful. That, and that is just a process leading to our goal. And when the mind and the body is pacified, then the knower can be easily awake. Let the knower be awake and independent, independence from everything, from the five khandhas. And only with such knowing, then we can see things as they are. Otherwise, the knowing is always biased by the self, by the ego. The self is not something actually exists. It is just a concept. It is just a claim. The mind declared itself that this body is me, the feelings is me, the memory is me, or the thinking is me. But these are just concepts. Actually, the ego itself never exists. Only when the body is pacified and the mental activities are pacified, then the mind, the knower, can be awakened. It is kind of open awareness, open to the present moment. And whatever happened at the present moment, they will come to they will come to us. They will happen in front of us. So the knower, the knowing, don't need to go anywhere. Just stay at the very center of the universe. And that things happen to you. And when the knowing is staying at this original center, then you'll be gradually settled down. You'll be stable. Such a stability of knowing is called samadhi. Then it'll be more and more obvious the such center of the universe, center of the five khandhas, be more and more obvious to us. And knowing and awareness becomes natural, becomes automatic. When such right samadhi is established, then knowing becomes automatic. Knowing is not doing something. And only when we are not the mind is not doing anything, then the knowing becomes complete. And when the mind tries to do something, try to think, try to concentrate, try to imagine, try to record memory, all these doing will make our awareness incomplete. Just like the surface of water, only when the water is completely still, no activities at all, and then the water surface becomes a mirror, and it reflects the whole image of the sky. So when we think, we don't know. When we know, we don't think. So that's why when the mental activities are pacified, then the mind wakes up. And that's why the first two steps is to pacify the body and the mind, pacify the nervous system and the emotional system. Because all the mental activity starts from emotion, starts from want to think, want to know, want to do this, do that. And these are the source of the mental activity. So when the emotional center is balanced, the mind and the heart is neutral, and we don't have any want to do something. We are just simply be content with the present moment. Then in this situation, in this condition, the mind is awake. The knowing becomes complete. When the knowing becomes complete, and then awareness is effortless. The mind knows itself, and it becomes more and more stable. And after it is stable enough, then we can let go the knower. That means we change our perspective. We are not on the position of the knower. We are not the knower. The knower is the knowing element in the nature, and all the objects are also the elements of the nature. Both the knowing and the known is the nature itself, and we are nothing. There's still the knowing, there's still the objects being known, but there is no self, no me. This is to teach the mind to teach the mind with non-self, step by step, layer by layer. We are peeling off the self, the ego. And this will be easier to be achieved in the meditation when our mind is peaceful. But when we are getting familiar with this, then we can bring it into our daily life. And at least in the meditation, when we can let go the sense of ego, the mind is completely at rest. And this is a true rest for the mind. And normally the mind is always working, always burdened by greed, aversion, and delusion. The delusion is the sense of ego, sense of self-image, self-identification. And start from this ego. It has something likes or something dislike. This is greed and aversion. So everything, all the problem starts from this ego, starts from the delusion, avijja, ignorance. The first cause of the dependent origination. Is the ultimate cause of our suffering. And if we want to improve the peacefulness of the mind, then we need to take the precepts, observe the precepts to protect the mind, to reduce in taking poisons to the mind. Precepts is the armor of our mind, armor protecting against the arrows of the greed, aversion, and delusion. If there are some activities that make us lack of mindfulness, make us deluded, then we should avoid, or at least reduce as much as possible. Then after a certain period of time, the mind will grow. All the skillful dhammas in the mind will grow. Your samadhi, your wisdom, they will grow easier with the protection of precepts. So we should understand the benefits of precepts. The reason that we need to observe the precepts is for our own benefit, is for our own happiness. This is the true happiness in the world, the happiness of the mind. If the mind is not happy, everything that we can gain from this world is meaningless. So please treasure these qualities, precious qualities of the mind. Please treasure precept, samadhi, and wisdom. Okay, time's up for today. So finally, I need to hold the mic like usual. Okay, number 4.
Thank you, Ajahn.
How is it?
very uneventful. Actually, I was it's my first sitting in quite some time. So today I was pretty drowsy for most of throughout the meditation. Yeah, but I guess towards the end, I think it gets better. I guess I have slept enough.
Have good dreams?
Pardon?
Do you have good dreams?
No, it's kind of in between. You know, I know that sometimes my mind slipped off, and then sometimes it comes back again. It's just it's kind of it's a repetition. That
So we need to know how to deal with it. The very source is our daily life adjustment. But during the meditation, we try to balance the brain with taking one is taking more oxygen to the brain, and the second is to stop the fabrications in the brain. Because even when we are sleeping, the brain is keeping on thinking. The brain is still thinking. So we call it dreams. And these dreams are also draining our energy because it's the activity, it's the fabrication of the mind. So we relax the brain actually is to stop this fabrication. So we do in these two ways. One is to wake up the mind physically, wake up the brain physically, give it more oxygen. And the second is to reduce the drainage of energy, and just let the brain take a sleep intentionally, but withdraw your mind, withdraw your self-identification from this brain. So this is the way to balance to deal with the sleepiness from the wisdom. Just keep the knower undiluted, and then the sleepiness are just feelings to you, and the knowing is not the feeling. The feeling is not knowing. When we can separate these two, then we can simply use the sleepiness as our object of meditation. But you can try all these different methods, see which one is suitable for you, and sometimes it's changing. Sometimes this method is more suitable, sometimes another. And when our wisdom is higher, then we can simply know that these are just feelings. And we can even keep aware in the dreams, in the dreams when we are sleeping physically. But the cause of all these problems are actually in our daily life. We need to plan our schedule. We need to keep mindful as much as possible. And meditation is just a condition helping the mindfulness. And wisdom is another. We need to remind ourselves the importance of practice to us. Because we are also, although sometimes we already know, but we always forget. And that's why we will be lazy. We will go back to the defilement. But we need to wake up the mind with some maybe readings or listening to Dhamma to wake up the right view in our memory. This is very important. We need to practice all the precepts of samadhi and wisdom. And this is part of wisdom practice, to think in the Dhamma, to reflect on the Dhamma. Although it is not the true wisdom which can end all the sufferings, but it is the worldly wisdom that help us to walk on the path of the Eightfold Path. It is also necessary to keep our mindset in Dhamma. Otherwise, we'll be going farther and farther away from the Dhamma. So when we remember, when we understand this, then try again, start again. We start our life. It is necessary. Otherwise, we'll be regret after many years. We must be regret. I must. So why don't just start earlier? Right.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Ajahn.
Number 11.
Hi, good morning, Ajahn.
Good morning. Good afternoon.
Afternoon. The mind is very active today, so trying to just watch it and wait for it to calm down, I guess.
And a lot of thoughts.
It just keeps running. About like work and everything.
You need to rest the brain. So can you simply try to let the brain take a sleep? Just normally, just like what we did in sleeping, with the same attitude, let the brain sleep. But the only difference is that we are still aware. You can let it sleep in the breathing. The keyword is it. When you say let it sleep, it's not let me sleep, but let it sleep. And you find that the mind is still aware. And once it's still too active, and there will be a lot of vibrations in the mind. And such vibrations might not be some obvious thoughts, but still not settled, right? Like an earthquake, mild earthquake in the mind. So and this is about the nervous system. The nerves are not cooled down. So it's physical. So and the source of problem is the brain. Can relax the brain, the center of the nervous system, and try if it help or not. Actually, if we simply practice breathing, let the brain sleep in the breathing, it's quite enough for almost most of the people. You can do this as kind of meditation method. And Nong Po also teach this kind of meditation, but he used different words. He said, breathe in and let the brain take a rest. Breathe out, let the brain take a rest. The same, it's resting the brain, and you effectively make the mind peaceful. Because most of the problem, and most people face the problem of agitation and sleepiness at least in the beginning part of meditation. And it is almost common for everyone. So that's why I will guide the meditation with start from resting the brain. It's not sleeping, but it's kind of slow down the brain, slow down the thinking process. And then when the mind gains enough energy from the resting, then the mind will be bright. The mindfulness will accumulate itself. And if we have some emotional stress, we also need to solve it before the mind can be united. And this emotional stress happens in the center of the chest. Actually, here the physical position is not important, but when our mind has some emotional activity, that you will have such corresponding sensation in the body. So with such a connection, we pay attention to the a particular area of the body will help us to locate the emotions in the mind. And when you feel the emotions are also balanced, then the mind will be united itself. It will be naturally one. And after when the mind is united, then whatever you pay attention to, the awareness will be complete, will be one. Okay, but you are now getting better. I seldom see you sleep now. It's an improvement. Okay, number 10.
Good afternoon, Ajahn.
Yes.
Yeah, today, okay, it's very peaceful. I can follow Ajahn's narration. I will have one question, Ajahn. Let's say the mind is very still. Okay, so there's nothing in the mind. So I just watch for the feeling, and then sometimes there's a memory come up of the past memory. Shall I quickly switch to the body? Or shall I look at the memory? I mean, sometimes I don't know whether is it a delusion or what. So I quickly switch.
Just know that there is a memory come and just let it go. You don't need to think about the content of the memory. Just know that it comes and the mind, the heart want to go into the memory. And once we are aware of this, then everything just pass away. Because everything just actually pass away in every moment. Once we stop clinging, once we stop application, they cannot continue. So just come back to the present moment. It is a completely new moment. All the past are gone. The past, the memories that they arouse in the mind are in the past already, right?
Yeah. So which means good or bad memory, we just need to be mindful, and automatically the mind will let go the memory, right?
Yeah. Once we are awake, to the new present moment, then everything in the past are gone. So just come start meditation again in the new present moment. Actually, we are restarting the meditation every moment. If we are living at the present moment, then every moment is a new meditation session. So once we know, then just forget it and let it go. Forget the past and come back to the present moment. We cannot meditate in the past. We can only meditate in the present moment. Because meditation is not the time to think about memory. Right? It's not the proper time to do this. But when you are not in meditation and you feel it it's good to think something in the past, then you can do it.
But it comes by itself. I don't think the mind wants to think, but it comes by itself.
Yeah, sometimes it's habitual. When there's a certain stimuli, and the memory will react and response to this. Sometimes it happens automatically, but we can choose. When we are mindful, when we are at the present moment, we can choose which way to go. But when we are not mindful, we don't have free will. We just follow all the habits. Right?
Also, when you're mindful, the old habit will stop, will drop.
You can choose not to follow them. But when we are halfly sleeping, when we are not mindful enough, then we simply follow all the habits, follow what the emotion likes. Right? Okay. 15.
Good afternoon, Ajahn.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
Fine. What's the time in Australia now?
It's 4:30.
4:30. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty late, but
Mm.
my session today was okay. I started off a little bit agitated, but then I think I went into the meditation quite smoothly after that. And there was a point where I just like completely shut off, I think, and then I kind of I was still awake, but I was just hearing your voice, and I just basically kind of woke up at the end, and then I realized I don't know if I just slept, but I was very dizzy, and but at the same time I was very conscious of my breathing and your voice, but that's all I heard, that's all I felt. Yeah, it was very weird.
Yeah, you need to rest the brain more because the brain need more rest. It's not yet recovered. But you are still aware. But the physically the brain is not refreshed enough. So if you are at home, you can practice the exercise, resting the brain in the breathing. Just simply do this. We don't need to do it too long. Maybe just 10 to 15 minutes a time. Once you have time, put away your mobile phone and do this exercise. It's much better exercise than your finger exercise like this. And you can put such exercises as kind of break for the mind. It's the real leisure time for the mind. The mind don't need to take the burden of thinking in this period. So it is a good rest for the mind. When the mind has enough rest, then our studies will be better. Our language abilities will be better too. Our thinking will be better, more organized. The mind will be sharper. Everything will be improved. It's very, very worthy to do. So you can organize this into your daily life as part of your life, as part of your work. Do it as much as possible. Or when you are on the bus, so you can just close your eyes and let the brain take a sleep in the breathing. Try this after several days, and the brain will be different.
Right. Yeah, will do.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, Greg. We have almost finished. You need to unmute yourself.
Hang on. Priscilla said I should have asked one more question yesterday.
Okay.
And that is, when in my meditation session yesterday, I managed to reach weightlessness for about nearly half the session.
Sorry?
I reached weightlessness for about half the session.
Half the session. Okay.
And as I said, it was one of the best sessions I've had since I've been back in Australia. And she said I should have mentioned that. And then she was saying maybe I should ask you, what's stopping me, going further, or what more can I do?
When the mind is aware and And when it is kind of balanced awareness, then just keep the mind in like this. Then it will be naturally settle down, and then become more and more stable. Sometimes when we the mind is aware, but it's not yet stable. That means it can be easily distracted. But when the stability is established, then the mind will be more stable. You can face directly to the distractions, but the mind is still and natural. So this is the second step to build up the stability of the knowing. And the third step after that is to let go even this knower, and to observe everything from the perspective of impermanence, suffering, and non-self. So breathing is impermanent, suffering, and non-self. And even the knower is impermanent, suffering, and non-self.
Just hold on, Tick. I'm having a trouble with the volume.
Okay.
Just hold on. Just let me.
When the mind is ready.
Yeah.
It's not about time. It's not about time. But when the mind is ready for the next step, you can try yourself. To which extent the mind is enough for the next step.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Ajahn. I've got a problem with connection today. I'm not hearing all your words.
Which part?
No,
so
that last two
okay.
sentences. Just do you mind repeating that? Because so much was stopped out. I didn't hear enough.
Okay.
All I heard was the when
okay.
The mind.
The short conclusion. When the mind is aware, is mindful, the first step is to build a mindfulness. That is to know the present moment. So we use any object of meditation, like breathing, to know the present breathing continuously. And this is to build the mindfulness. This is the first step. Okay. The second is to build up the stability of the knowing.
All right, this is the part I didn't hear.
Yeah.
Okay. So the second part is to build up
the stability.
Stability, yeah.
Yeah, of the knowing, of the mindfulness. And it is a natural extension from the first step. When the mindfulness continues for a period of time, then it becomes more and more stable.
Yeah. Because okay, talking to Priscilla afterwards, I said I got to a to a comfortable day. They were happy. He said, no, I wasn't happy. I was content. I said, well, how long's it last for? I said, well, I'm still content now. And so the contentment is sort of lasting like two days.
Yeah. Contentment will make our mind willing to stay with the meditation object. When the mind is content with the breathing, say the meditation object, then the meditation will be easy, because the mind likes to stay with the breathing, and we don't need to force it to do that, right? So the knowing will be more continuous, and the stability of knowing will be easier to establish.
All right.
So it is a very quite important element in meditation. We need to know the object and also know with the content. Know with content mind. So or another expression is to know with ease. Know with a happy mind. And after the second step, samadhi is built up, and then we can observe from the perspective of impermanent, suffering, and non-self. That is the third stage. So first is mindfulness, second, samadhi, third is wisdom.
Wisdom. All right. Thank you very much.
Okay.
That's why I bolted in today and jumped in at the very end, because I just got in the door
Okay.
Solicitor, I should have actually asked you the question. Thank you very much again for your time.
All right.
Salud.
Sadhu.
I'll see you again next week.
Okay, see you. Number 12.
Good afternoon, Ajahn.
Good afternoon.
Today was okay, except maybe I got nose block. There's nose block, so I can hear the breathing sound through my ear instead of feeling it to my nostril. So the breathing sound is like in and out in the like in the ear, the air coming up. So there's some sensations, pain, and that there in the body, but I think was okay. So as for I think the over today the sitting was okay. Maybe there's some in and out, the thoughts going out, but it's not that much. And also I aware that there's sometimes there's still some controlling in this mind. So I was trying to relax it, so relax it and come back to the present. But somehow
good.
there's controlling in this mind. Then I sometimes just smile at it, or just bring it back to the present.
Because you're too familiar with this mode. So the difference between knowing and concentration is the point. And knowing without concentration is what we need to practice. And that is to separate, to wake up the knower itself, to wake up the consciousness, the pure consciousness. Concentration is a function of sankhara, that is a mental formation. And knowing itself is of the vijnana, the consciousness. So it is possible that we can simply know without concentration, without any doing to the object. We just simply be with the object. So when we are staying with the breathing, just let the mind be with the breathing. We don't need to limit the mind to fix into this breathing. It's different. So the key point is relaxation, and know and relax. Know in a relaxed manner. And the expression that I like to use, which is the expression from Lumpur Sumedho, he used the word relax into the breathing. So let the mind relax into the breathing, rather than narrow yourself, fix yourself into the breathing. So just relax into. When you still cannot relax into, then just let it be like this. Just know whatever it is happening. And because once we try to do something, try to want to have something more than we are having, then this is craving, and it will cause tension in the heart area. Then we are not emotionally balanced. And after we continue this for a long time, then the stress will be accumulated, become bigger and bigger. So try to change the perspective. We are not the master. We just simply knower. And if we want to get closer to the object, just relax into it. Relax into it. And at the same time, we know that even this mind is not me. The mind is the mind is meditating and not me. So let the mind stay with the breathing, but it's nothing related to me. They are meditating, but not me. Right? Such attitude, the perspective is important. Because controlling starts from the ego, starts from the belief that I am the master, I am the house owner of this body, right? So we start from a new perspective and do it in a relaxed manner. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
13.
Hello, Ajahn. We had a session yesterday on metta, so it was quite a good session. A whole day walking and metta. But that's why we could join your meditation only, but we couldn't stay beyond that. But having said that, yesterday the meditation was a very good meditation where I sat for 1 hour. I just had a question that I like.
Yes.
Okay. I like particularly yesterday the meditation that Ajahn mentioned that the method that when you have anything that comes, any picture or any image or anything, any thoughts comes, immediately you drop it out. Immediately you let go. Immediately let go. And I tried it. It was very effective. It's extremely effective. I could do it almost like following the Ajahn's instruction precisely. And the sitting was very good, but unfortunately I didn't have chance to report to Ajahn yesterday. But then, but then the problem was that okay. Anyway, the rest of the day was also quite good in the meditation, and I think the whole day of metta helps a lot in the sleep. So the sleep was actually also very good. There's completely no dreams, nothing, completely no. So that sleep make it very good. But then, if one try again, what Ajahn's method again, I could not always get the same results because you cannot always let go as you want. You cannot always let go as you want. So I guess conditions are always not the same. Yes, So this is what I learned is that that's a very good method, and I realized that it's so good that because you shouldn't let your feeling comes out, because once you have the feeling that comes out, means you're already gone through a few more steps, and it's even harder to let go once the feeling comes out. But if you don't let any feeling comes out, if the image comes out first, then you just let go. Image comes out, let go. You don't have a chance to decide whether it's a good, nice, interesting, not interesting, beautiful, or not beautiful. You don't have a chance to do that. So that means you won't have attached, you won't actually have a papanja, that can carry on from there, which is fantastic. I find that method was extremely useful, provided that your mind is very, very alert. And apparently my mind at that point was extremely alert because I could go around the whole body. Any point that comes out, whatever sensation, image, all comes out, I could just load it. I could just load it and let go, load it and let go. It was like amazing, an act that I gone through for the 40 minutes, and I find it very, very, I learned a lot from there. Thank you, Ajahn, for that method.
But you should also understand that before you apply that method yesterday, we have gone through the preparatory steps before that. We have relaxed the body and relaxed the mind to a certain level, so that the knower can be awakened easier. And when the knower is wake up, then we can pay attention to the present moment like this. Then it will be the kind of naturally extending to the next step. You'll be going smoother. But if you start from the very beginning with this method, that may be different. I didn't say it's impossible, but it'll be different.
Yes.
So you also need to take into account that the steps that we have done before this. Actually, all the problems of meditation comes from the 5 hindrances.
Yes.
As I always emphasize, if you understand more about your 5 hindrances and the way to deal with them. And this is the reason that your meditation improves. Not with any particular skills or any particular posture, but it's to deal with the 5 hindrances themselves. When there's no 5 hindrances, you can use whatever object as you like, and you can do it perfectly well. So, but if you find some particular method is more suitable for you, it's more comfortable for you, then you can try to stick to it. So yeah, everything, when we know everything, just let go immediately.
That's right.
Yeah, it is simple because otherwise you cannot catch up with the new present moment.
Yes.
Actually, it is so fast. You have no time to think. When we are being with the present moment, we have no time to think. Once we think, we don't know. We are not at the present moment.
That's correct. Yeah. Thank you, Ajahn. I think that's very beneficial. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then number 8.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Good afternoon, Ajahn and everybody. Last week, I listened to my heart, to my mind. I listened more to my mind, and I'm more awareness of my body. So, and I think these are the 2 ways help me relax. Yeah. When I found that my mind contracted, I try to relax it. Sometimes at the same time, I found that my shoulder sometimes is contracted or raised up. I try to relax them. Yeah, I find these are the ways to relax myself in the meditation. Yeah. This
because all the stress comes from this area, from the center of the chest. It's from the want. The mind want to do something. The want to do something is the source of all sufferings. If we are more sensitive to such want to do something, then we can solve it from the very beginning. Once it start to have such want, then we will be aware immediately. Then when it is not that strong, we can simply let go easily. But when it has grown stronger, very big, then it is difficult to let go. Then we need to maybe some other antidote to solve the problem.
Sometimes I found that I was aware of the mind and the body at the same time. Sometimes I just pay attention to my mind and then to the body.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Because if we settle our mind at the middle, at the center of the 5 khandhas, then we are not in any particular area of this body and mind. But when we are in this center, we know everything happens in the body and mind.
You mean at the same time it's okay?
Yeah, it's impossible to know at the same time, but it's one following another. But because they are so fast, we think that we are not knowing 2 at the same time. But actually, it's a switching of objects.
Okay.
But I think the important is that our mindfulness continues.
Okay.
We are still at the present moment, then that's fine.
Okay, thank you, Ajahn. I try to listen more to my mind, and that is my practice last week. Thank you.
Yeah, good. Mindfulness on the mind. Chittanupassana. Anu means follow. Passana means see. Chitta means mind. So follow and see the mind. This is, if we can do this, then we can simply use the mind as our meditation object. We don't need to pay attention to the body and the feelings, because everything happens from the mind first. After the mind has some action, then we'll see, we can observe, and everything, the body and the feelings, they will enter the mind and translate into the system language of the mind. Then the mind is aware of that information. Actually, everything is the mind, you can say. The body is part of the mind. The feeling is also part of the mind. When we use the mind as the object to observe, then from the observation to the mind, we can see everything. We can see the representation of the body in the mind. We can see the representation of the feelings in the mind. Thoughts and everything are all in the mind. The four satipatthanas. The first one is the body, second is feeling, third is the mind, the fourth is the Dhamma. The later ones are bigger than the former ones. A body is the smallest object. It has the smallest area, sphere. The feeling is bigger than that. But the mind is bigger than the feeling, and Dhamma is the biggest. It's more going deeper and deeper to the core, but it's more embracing than the former ones. So if we can observe the mind directly, then this is better than observing the body. Because finally we need to observe the mind, because the greed, aversion, and delusion, all the defilement are in the mind. If we never know the mind, then how can we know the greed, aversion, and delusion? How can we solve the problem of sufferings? Someone may practice mindfulness on the body and feeling, but finally we also need to be aware of the mind. Then we can understand the defilement, the suffering, the cause of suffering. Because the greed, aversion, and delusion are in the mind, not in the feeling, not in the body. So I think it's quite necessary, very important step. If we can separate the mind from the feelings, or say mental objects, cetasikas. So this is a very important step to understand what is the true happiness and what is the sensual happiness. Happiness of the mind, happiness of the senses. When we can understand the difference between these two, then we understand the meaning of practice, the meaning of Buddhist Dhamma. Okay, so finally, number 5.
Hello, Ajahn. Good evening. Good afternoon. Okay.
Can you follow the instruction today?
Yeah, still sometimes I lost in my attention to the voice volume, and a little bit worried and wondering if I should send you a message or something. But
you have already done. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, so
it's for the benefit of others.
Yeah, so the mind's still struggling, but I think it's not too bad. because I'm carrying some kind of duty and trying to meditate at the same time. That's not the usual situation. So maybe it's fine in this way. And I also try to observe the status of the mind when it's struggling and shifting between trying to listen or trying to think, and also to meditate sometimes and to do nothing sometimes. So I think I'm not too unhappy about what happens today. And I just want to share a little bit about something that I did yesterday. Actually, yesterday I went for hiking with Xiu Gun, who is here as well. we went up to the mountain and we saw a very, very wonderful view, which is like world class, the best view, like one of the best view that I've ever had in Hong Kong, especially. So I could see the mind was very happy. It was actually very happy and super glad that I went there with some friends and glad that I had that time to go to the nature and enjoy some good moments for the mind, like for myself or something. Actually, before that, sometimes I thought it was wrong to be happy, because life is like full of suffering, right? So we the Buddha said that we should understand suffering. So sometimes I know maybe it's not that right, but deep down still sometimes I don't want myself to be happy. And when I feel relaxed or happy or glad, that I could somehow feel like guilty or something. But yesterday it was the first time that the first time that I felt like, okay, so maybe it's okay to be happy, to be okay, like it's okay to enjoy something and to be glad that you've do something just for yourself and yeah. So just this that I wanted to share.
And are you guilty with to the happiness for meditation?
The the happiness when I do meditation was so mild, so soft. And also I'm not a very good meditator yet, so I so the mind tell the mind that I need to do meditation. So it's work. It's not enjoyment. So I don't feel guilty at all.
Actually, the Buddha didn't teach us don't be happy. You should not be happy. But we should understand the happiness on the sense level and on the level of the mind. The happiness of the mind is the peacefulness of the mind. The mind is simply content to the present moment. And this is the happiness of the mind. It's not from any senses. So it can be happy in doing whatever. But the happiness from the senses is limited to the sensory object. Like something you like to see, something you like to hear, something you like to touch. So it's limited. And the danger of sensual pleasure is the craving, which is happening in the mind, not in the senses, not in the body. If you are aware of such craving in the mind, and you can simply eat something delicious, can hear some music, but your mind is without craving, then that's fine. So the Arahant say they are allowed to enjoy some delicious food. They are worthy for this food because they don't have craving in the mind. And for those not yet attained Arahant, if we are mindful in having such delicious food, then it's okay too. Because when we are mindful, we don't have craving in the mind. We simply know the taste. So where's the deliciousness? The deliciousness is in the tongue, or in the brain, or in elsewhere. So when we're doing this, then that's fine. We are not deluded by the sensual cravings. And sometimes we need to release our stress in the mind too, in the heart. If we go into hiking, it's an exercise. It's relaxation to the mind, and that's fine. Because we're doing for such wholesome purpose, and it's better than being deluded and playing the mobile games like this, right? And even we are not enjoying the sensual pleasure, then we are still suffering by the aversions. So and doing hiking like this, at least it's better than the other way. It's less harmful. Aversion in the mind is more harmful. The accumulation of stress is more harmful. And the important is to understand the difference between the mind and the feelings, and don't be too controlling. Don't think that you are the parent of this body and mind. If you should do this, you should not do this, do that. This is kind of repressing the mind, and it is creating the aversion, accumulating aversion. And when it is too much, then you have some problem in the future. So we also need to take care. It doesn't mean that we should not be happy. Then why the Buddha let us practice meditation, let us have jhanas or the metta bhavana? It feels good in the meditation, but it's not harmful. We also need to cultivate the loving kindness to protect the mind, protect the emotional mind. Otherwise, you have problems. You should not push it too hard. Okay, you need to be relaxed more. And number 2, did I ask you already? Not yet.
Not yet. Ajahn,
okay.
Yesterday I have a very good meditation, and today, before meditation, I tell myself not to expect anything, because once you have expectation, it is no good. So I just relax myself, and it's surprisingly I was so awake. I almost relax into the breathing, just like what you said. The breathing in and the breathing out, I just let it flow freely by itself. So maybe a little bit slower, I don't know, but I didn't control it. But I just keep it and then know it, go and breathe in and breathe out and breathe in and breathe out. So it keep me awake all the time. No drowsiness, no sleeping, and no struggling on my feet. And maybe I really relax myself enough. And I hear what you said, and it kept quite well. And unexpectedly, and no struggling. And then I don't feel, I'm so appreciate what you said. You are a humble, you are quite a humble, a very tiny, small knower. It impressed me a lot, the smallest knower. I just seems to be my size got smaller and smaller, and it seems that no one, no one can look at me. But I'm so little. I'm so little, but I know the universe. I'm so small in the universe. It really impressed me. I'm so little and small and humble. A very good saying that. It really impressed me. And then I'm become a very tiny creature in the universe. Yeah.
So it will make us less burden because the self is smaller.
Yeah.
And the burden is smaller.
Yeah. It seems that I'm not here. I'm in the universe. I'm so small that hardly anyone can look at me and can find me. It's so small, but I can see the universe. The contrast is so big, but I really do like it. It's really helpful.
Okay, I will just try it. Because it is a self-image, a self-identification. And the bigger our self-identification is, then heavier the burden on our shoulders. If we think that we are this body, then we need to carry out this body. We need to hold this body all the time. If we think that we are the thinking, we are the thoughts, we are the feelings, then we need to shoulder up all these things. But if we think that we are the infinitely small dust in this body and mind, then we have no burden.
So tiny. It come to me. I'm in the universe. The universe so big, infinite, but I'm so tiny, just like a dust. It's so happy, at that time. So happy. It's so small. Even the Mara cannot see me. That's what I want.
So this is a visualization of humility. Because such visualization brings the sense of humility to the mind. Then we can be a humble knower rather than a master of this body and mind. Such a sense of master causes a lot of problems. It wastes a lot of energy. Because we need to control all this and that, everything. Then we are wasting the energy a lot. If we simply be a humble knower, we don't need to do anything. We just know. That is much comfortable. The mind is less stressful. Okay, then just try if you think that this is suitable for you.
Next time, please remind me again. I'm so tiny. Thank you, Ajahn. Thank you.
Okay, so any other questions? Number 17, do you want to report anything?
Yes, I would like to report. I had a meditation session yesterday. I didn't have anything to say, but today I do have something to say. In the meditation session, initially I feel that my brain, the head area and my shoulder area was pretty tight. So I just observe it, and I see that the body is actually not mine, because I can stand from outside and observe those tight sensation. And when I see that, I see that this anatta and the sensation just disappear. And the moment it disappeared, I could feel that my mind, my concentration comes back to the center here. Yeah. And along the way, I also see the mind also is observing my thoughts. And then last week, I had some challenges in my work.
And I realized that, and then the thoughts come, and then just it goes. And then after that, then I see that, you know, even these feelings in my work, it's actually anatta. And then I just let go. And then after that, I see sometimes the mind. So when I don't have any 5 aggregates for me to observe, I realize that the mind is just sitting at the center, and then I observe. So the mind becomes something being observed. But sometimes when I'm looking at those 5 aggregates that are rising and falling away, I see that the mind becomes an observer, becomes a knower. So sometimes it's an object that is being observed, and sometimes it's a knower or observer by itself. And I see that the mind is very cool down there at the center there, very cool and very peaceful, and up to a point that I couldn't control it. The tears just dropped. And I think it's because I'm very, very grateful. When I feel that way, I have a very deep sense of gratitude towards the Buddha and Dharma and Sangha. And yeah, and but when I have that kind of feeling, I also observe that you know, that teary feelings and that gratitude. And I see that gratitude also and the feelings that is also divided from my mind. And most of the time, so now I see that the mind, when it is observing either the body or any elements in the 5 aggregates, those 5 aggregates sort of like separated from the mind. And when the mind has nothing to observe, is not clinging to the 5 hindrances, just stay there and becomes object being observed. And then now I have a feeling that the knowing that the mind is centered here is also sort of anatta, but I did not dwell further. I did not dwell further in that. I just let it be, and I feel very cool. And but it's very strange. I can feel cool, but I also have tears at the same time. So I don't know how to explain it, but I feel so much gratitude and very, very cool and very peaceful and fasi. Should be the word.
It's samadhi. This is samadhi. The mind is united, and actually the mind or the knower itself is part of the 5 aggregates, the consciousness aggregates. But the observer, the knower itself, is part of the 5 aggregates, and it is anatta. It is not me too. So what we think that we are observing the mind itself is just actually the observing the sense of knowing or sense of emptiness or sense of nothingness. Nothingness itself can be an object. Whatever we see from also called observing the mind itself is just an image of the mind, but not the mind itself. It becomes what I say, maybe it's belong to the sanya. It's a perception. So it's still in the 5 aggregates, and it is not the knowing itself. But such is just academic. So it's a different ways of grouping, but it doesn't matter. But when the mind is united like this, and also know that even this knower, this mind, no matter how cool, how happiness it is, it's not me. It is just a phenomenon already. Also, it is not me. So we just let it be. Sometimes it is the mind is empty from any object, and sometimes there's some changes, but these are also subject to impermanence, and such states cannot last long, and even the knower itself cannot be in this way all the time. It is also impermanent. So just let it be and don't attach to it. And we don't need to do anything. Then it will happen itself. When it is enough, then you come out. This is samadhi, is to rest the mind. The mind takes enough rest from this. But it's very important to keep our right view, even in this state. If we have attachment to such state, think that this is the highest attainment, then we are wrong. Or think that you have a strong craving to such state, and this time you look for this state, and this is wrong already, because it is impermanent and it doesn't happen every time, and it's not the same every time. And once you cannot get what you expect, then you suffer. So just let it go, and know and let it go. Forget it. It is in the past already. But know that this is just the natural phenomenon. The unification of mind is like this, but it's not something special. It is still natural, part of the nature.
Okay.
But the more important is to cultivate our right view. Even in such heavenly state, it's still impermanent, right? So when the mind takes enough rest and come out, we apply the perspective of impermanent suffering non-self to everything that we know in the same way. So this is the only way we need to cultivate. Until the mind knows itself and it let go the ego.
Thank you, Ajahn.
Okay, and any other questions? If no, then bye-bye.
So before we say goodbye to Ajahn, let us bow all together 3 times if you haven't, before we say goodbye. Ajali Vandana, Abhivandana. Ajali Vandana, Abhivandana. Ajali Vandana, Abhivandana. Ajali Vandana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu.
Anyone here are interested in the New Year chanting?
Oh yeah.
Raise your hand. Let me know. Okay.
What is EHR, Ajahn?
The New Year. We are going to welcome the New Year on 21st of this month.
31st, the last day
of this year.
We're going to count down all together in the meditation way. Of course, in Hong Kong time, we will have the section at 10:30 at night. So everyone, you are very welcome to join us, and we're going to have some chanting together. And Ajahn, we're going to guide a meditation before
talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you'll be in Cantonese.
Sorry.
So number 4, you're not wasting your hand, right? Okay. Because it is a countdown event for in Hong Kong, so it should be in Cantonese.
So we will post the link for joining and some chanting test at the group in the general what was that? The general group of the general WhatsApp group of the Lam Chun Sim Sao Hok Hui, and we will also post the link and information that the meditation online group, the WhatsApp group, but only for the Cantonese one. Sorry, everyone who don't understand Cantonese.
Number 11, will you come?
Number 11 hả? Oh.
No, it's no, subjection. Sorry, it's a subjection of carry. So it's not. Yeah, carry.
Okay then. See you.
Next week then. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.